Hello, and welcome back to my live. Today, I want to talk about something that I think doesn't get talked enough about, and that's about this concept, this myth of work life balance. And I'm here to tell you let's stop chasing balance and instead, let's start creating integration. And here's what I mean: we have been sold this idea that balance is the goal, that we should be putting equal amounts of time into our work, into our family life, into our personal interests. But we that doesn't necessarily always work, especially for working moms, for busy professionals. It's always this ever changing juggling act. And while some days you might get it really well, other days can be, things can go sideways. And what ends up happening, and this is the problem that I have, the problem is that the result of us striving for this sense of balance and perfection is that we tend to feel guilty. We feel burnt out. And we feel that if we're not doing everything equally, that we're doing something wrong. And basically, it's just that balance has become yet another metric that helps us measure how we're falling short. And it doesn't have to be that way. I'm here to tell you that with integration, if we try to create integration, create adaptability, what it does is it gives us permission to be present. Integration is about being fully where you are, not being everywhere at once. So instead of splitting yourself between doing work emails while you're doing the school pickup, while you're figuring out your to do list, your integration, being more integrated, being more present, you instead ask yourself, what needs me most right now? And on some days, it'll lean more towards work. On other days, it'll lean more towards family. And that's okay. It's not an imbalance, but rather it's reality. And real peace doesn't come from doing it all, it actually comes from knowing what matters right now. Now, this is really important in our corporate culture nowadays because organizations love throwing the word around work-life balance. This is what we do. We offer fantastic work-life balance. You should come work for us. And it's being treated as a perk, but not necessarily what's actually practiced. And for employees, they don't necessarily need yoga at lunch. What they really need is systems that support that integration. And this can look like a variety of things. It can look like setting clear boundaries without any of the guilt or the shame. It can look like flexible structures. It can look like the permission to shift your energy based on season, based on what's going on in your life versus what that daily quota is. And in my speaking engagements, what I like to do is I like to teach teams on how to create cultures of integration where real life and meaningful work can come together and coexist. Because what we don't need is more balance programs. What we actually need are integration mindsets and the systems that can support them. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to try this reflection exercise that I've tried a few times, and I've really found it so integral, kind of opening my eyes to a different way of thinking. So I want you to think, what's one thing that you are trying to keep balanced right now that might feel easier if you were given permission to tip it in a different direction? So for me, it's always that I am trying to keep balance, especially with the kids being home for the summer and this is their last week, and I have mixed feelings. Um, so the one thing I'm always trying to keep balanced is, am I spending enough time with them, especially because they're home, they're not doing any camps. And I always feel like, okay, well, if I've put in, 2 hours of work in the morning, then I should aim to do an hour and a half to 2 hours with them in the afternoon. But if I just gave myself the permission to just lean one way or the other and be fully invested in them during that time, even if it's 30 minutes, but I'm fully present for them, it would mean so much more than the hour and a half to 2 hours that I'm spending with them, but still have, part of my mind thinking about, oh, well, don't forget those emails and, don't forget that phone call and have to do this, that, and the other thing. So, in essence, it helps me feel less like I'm failing and more like I'm adapting. And this is exactly the kind of shift that I help teams build, especially those that are navigating burnout or turnover or low morale. So if your people are chasing balance and still feeling behind, let's build a system that helps them thrive instead. I would love to come and speak and help you rewrite what that support looks like. Thank you so much.